This episode of the Council of the First Ones was recorded on May 16th, 2021.
Hello, and welcome to a supersized Council of the First Ones. I'm Kelly. Joining me today is Sean and David. We're skipping intros because this was an OMG week for Master fans.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it started off with hitting the faking formation and just kept getting better and better and better.
I'll just say first that I just got in the mail my PowerCon book bundle, and I am so happy. I cannot wait to open it up.
Oh, I know. Mine came in too. In fact, the UPS driver asked if I was having bricks delivered. I said no, 2 books.
Yeah, so heavy. Oh my gosh.
He's like, I'm really getting to hate these special deliveries that you've been getting lately.
Yeah.
Because it was the same guy that dropped off my Snake Mountain.
Yeah, nice.
I'm like, it's going to slow up for a little while.
You're getting a reputation, eh? Well, if the toys were easier to find in the store, then you wouldn't have to order them online.
Yes. But come on. The PowerCon exclusives are out of this world. I need someone who's going because they need to pick up a set for me.
I'll pick up a set for you.
I mean, I don't know which one I'm more excited about. I mean, we have the Horde Ultimate Pack with Filmation or Blue Hordak, Dark Grizzlor, 2 different Horde troopers whose chests open. It does have the action feature. That's the first one. That got me hyped. Then Faker and Copycat, or I believe they're Duplicate. I like the Copycat better.
Well, they can get into that discussion.
Like that. Then the Castle Grayskull Origins expansion pack with the Dungeon Great, with a posable creature coming out, the robot, and it looks like it's articulated, and the Spirit of Grayskull.
That's exactly the kind of things that hardcore fans want. Is that deep cut, like Castle Grayskull. Oh my gosh, anything to do with the mini comics, basically. I mean, I feel like it's the perfect accessory set for Castle Grayskull by far.
I agree. That was for me, loving the vintage and the mini comics, like David was saying. It's like, when I saw that, I actually I did like a triple take, because I'm like, they actually did it. They finally, it's like that whole meme. You actually did it. You SOB. It's like you did the Spirit of Grayskull, and when I was a kid, I wanted to have that on top of my Grayskull when I was playing, because that was my happy place. The Alcala mini comic versions and stuff, and yeah, it's glorious to see that for the first time in 40 freaking years at this point.
Yeah.
And that's what was missing from the Classics Castle.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was included, but when I saw that, I'm like, I want at least 2 sets. I will see how I'm going to figure out to put it into my Classics Grayskull besides the Origins Castle.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that it is so overdue.
Yeah, and if you want to put in the Classics Castle, just put down on the right side of the castle, put down 1 or 2 cans of tuna, and then put the Castle Grayskull on top of that. That's what I did with the Mega Constructs Talon Fighter. I displayed it with my Classics castle, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I figured what I'd probably do, since I have extra Castle Grayskull Mega blocks, build up a base to bring it up to the correct height.
Yeah, that works too. And what's nice is that on the bottom of the Spirit of Grayskull accessory, it has the same, the hole for the peg, of course, that's already on the Origins Castle, and that peg is the same size both on the left side and the right side. You know, the left side where you've got the laser cannon. So you can switch the location, right? You can have the flag on the left side if you want. You can have the Spirit of Grayskull on either side. It's perfect.
And I love that it's translucent. The other thing I'm trying to figure out is how I can wire it to make it glow.
That's really creative. I like that.
Get a little LED and just have it put. My buddy, he's really good at doing that kind of stuff in his apartment, and he always manages to find these tiny little LEDs to backlight some of this stuff like that, and it boggles my mind because I don't think like that. I'm just happy, hey, it's on the shelf, and then all of a sudden I go over to his place, I'm like it's like Toys R Us threw up in here and made it awesome. Like, what the heck? And if I could actually ask him how he could do it, and I'll let you know, because that would be awesome to have like a blue light coming from below it or a green light coming from below it. Have it give it that spectral.
It would have to be fun. That, and I love how the dungeon grate can slide right into the Origins castle with that and cover the sticker.
Yeah, that's really creative, and you can open it up and then put the big tentacle thing that it comes with. You can actually bend it so you can kind of wrap it around a figure to make it look like it's grasping them, like it's pulling them into the dungeon. And notice that the tentacle, it has an eye on it that makes it look just like the tentacle monster from the 2000X cartoon series. That episode called something like Price of Deceit, where Evelyn's being lowered down into the lowered down to the monster that was going to get her, and He-Man actually saved her. That eye looks just like the one on that monster.
And for everyone who was crying out, where's the robot in the Origins box?
Yes.
I don't know why it was kept out.
Well, of course, I was just going to say kept out because of the price point, but it's wonderful that they're giving us this option now. Yeah.
I mean, figuring the expansion pack from PowerCon is $30. That's
a steal, really, for an exclusive set. Yeah, I ordered 2, honestly, when I ordered my tickets and exclusives, because I figured I just in case, or if I wanted to, I'm really tempted to customize, like to really paint the whole spacesuit figure. But what were you going to say, Sean?
I was going to say, I if I remember it, and Kelly backed me up the other day when I mentioned it, we actually predicted that on this show. That might be an exclusive for Comic-Con, or for PowerCon. Sorry, not Comic-Con. And because and when I saw it, I'm like, I could have sworn maybe we talked about this, and then it's like, yep, okay, that was cool. So
there you go.
I think we guessed every single one correct, which is amazing this year.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I know my worry with the Grayskull pack was my son, when I got the Classics Castle. His favorite thing was the spacesuit, the robot, and he was like holding that like it was an action figure, and And I'm like, oh dear God, don't break anything because I don't have the money to buy a new one, blah, 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 blah. And then when I saw that, I got so happy. And then I also put my head in my hands going, I'll never see that again. Like it will be here because I wanted to just say quick. I know I did it on social media, but thank you to David Clark because he did gift my son with a Origins Beastman, which my son was completely happy. The thing is, my son discovered the figures can get ripped apart. So he's enjoying savaging Beastman every chance he gets. So there's parts of Beastman all over the basement. And I'm thinking to myself, that's going to be the spacesuit. I'm like, I'm not getting the Power Cut exclusive to have it lost in the basement. And feel like, I'll find pieces and just be like, oh, this
you
was
need like
supposed to be special.
a locked glass case or something and say, oh,
And
these are Daddy's toys.
well, he knows some of the shelves, yes, but there's certain ones where they're too tempting and he'll do it anyway. And all I could see is, oh, this isn't going to end well. But no, I actually like that it's a articulated piece because that is something that I wish Classics could have done, and they did the way they did it. That's fine, but this time around, it's great to have like an actual figure like that now.
Yeah, it's like I could nitpick about some things like the green translucent hands and stuff, but really, I'm just happy that we have it. We can customize them, whatever, but we have it. It's a thing now.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it is a thing now.
Another thing that we had to wait almost 40 years to get in Action Force. I mean, you figure we had a piece of cardboard when we were kids.
Yep.
Yeah. We played with cardboard. That's what we had.
We played with cardboard. We liked it. That's how
That's right.
Our imaginations were actually how we made everything work. And then you could do the whole walk, 10 miles one way uphill to get to school. You could go through the whole the gamut there if you want. But yeah.
They're really, I'm just so happy with all of these releases. I mean, I feel like we're super spoiled at this point, right? I mean, look at Wind Raider. You were talking about plugging things into the castle, and they're giving us all these different things that we can add to the castle. Like, so Wind Raider, it's got the flight stand, right? Apparently, you can plug the flight stand into the castle so that you can make it look like the Wind Raider is flying above the castle.
Nice.
How cool is that? And it's funny how in Dan's interview, real quick, Mattel said that I forget exactly who said it. He said, "Yeah, you can plug other, that and other things into it, kind of hinting at Talon Fighter, or the Point Dread."
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that the flight stand has a little console too, so it's not just a plain flight stand like we got with the classics. Sorry. It was just plain, but they're making the stand as part of the experience for the kid, where they can have man at arms controlling whatever figure they want.
A nice piece, and it's interesting because I mean, like with so many things, it's we want to see, part of us wants to see the same thing over and over again in terms of those nostalgia points. You got to hit those nostalgia points, which is important, but it's sometimes nice to see something like this that's an add-on, that's not changing the design, right? You're just adding something else in with it that's new for us to be excited about. And it's such a nice piece. I didn't quite catch what else you can do with that piece. Can you add the base of the Wind Raider flight stand to the castle, or do you just take the flight stand part of it off and plug that into the top?
I didn't catch that part either.
Okay.
There probably is where you're taking off the clear stand and plugging it in.
Yeah. For the price point, I'm wondering if we could have gotten, instead of that stand, if we could have gotten I don't know, like a Palace Guard figure for the Wind Raider, which, I mean, I don't think that's really necessary, but just curious. or if
Well,
that
we're
wasn't
getting.
in the cards.
We know we're getting army builders with horde troopers. Yes.
So I was really kind of nervous, like thinking, okay, so this line is so popular, and scalpers and bots and all that stuff put aside, it's a popular line, and it is
Yeah.
hard to get the toys, partially because people just love them so much. And so I'm thinking, okay, so if they're hard to find now, wait until they put out the first army builders.
Oh yes.
And so I'm hoping where we currently see He-Mans and Skeletors all over Walmart and Target, I'm hoping we get the same volume of Horde Troopers at retail. Maybe not just the gray armor, but also a mix of the black armor, red armor, gray armor.
I hope so.
Yeah, because
I know with the classics, I really couldn't afford to army build my horde like I wanted to. I am using my origins to build my horde army.
Yeah. Well, good luck though, army building PowerCon exclusives.
Well, those will be the special ones, but we know we're going to be getting the great ones at retail.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do all the work and engineering because that's 100% looks like all new tool, and figuring the chest open, that's all new.
Yeah, it's like an action feature, right?
Mattel is going, yes, it is, and Mattel's going to use that tool like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are our stormtroopers. For those who collect Star Wars, they'll understand. I've seen my friends' collections where they have over 1,000 stormtroopers just lined up with one Darth Vader in the front.
Yes. I'll predict now that we'll see this is just my prediction, that we'll see a 2-pack of Horde Troopers, and then down the line we'll see a pack that has, at retail, that has a black one and a red one, maybe with Filmation Hordak mixed in, and then down the line we'll get also an exclusive set of battle damaged Horde Troopers with shiny armor, kind of like we're getting with the shiny battle armor He-Man and shiny Battle Cat with battle damage.
Yep.
It's kind of weird that with the exclusives for PowerCon though, that you're actually planning to think a black and a red one might be on the way at some point because they've broken the taboo of the exclusive stuff with Lords of Power now. And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like we never had that hope of anything like that until they just broke that taboo in the last year. And now all of a sudden it's like the hope can be there, and that's just crazy. But yeah, it's true.
It's terrifying.
Are at retail with less deco, not the extravagant packaging.
Or different
color
deco.
change, different color, yeah. So.
Like what we're seeing with the Beast Man Lord of Power figure is quite different than what we received in the Lords of Power 5-pack. He looks actually pretty cool, closer to the Red Beast prototype design, with gold armor, a dark red fur, and changes across the board. With the gauntlets, with the belt. Quite different.
When I saw that one, I liked it, and I was thinking, if I was a kid again and I was getting these figures to play with, I would be army building that one too, because he would be like in the old DC comics. It wasn't just Beastman; it was Beastmen, and they would go and attack Avion and stuff. And I like that idea of you could have Beastman, the traditional looking one, being the leader, and then have those guys be all the ones that come with him as his tribe. I would just, it's like, it is fun to have that again, where your imagination can really go wild thinking,
Oh, yeah.
how would I incorporate that without having to say it's a second Beastman now? Well, that's how you could do it,
Or maybe the new one with the gold armor is like the chief of their tribe, you
Yeah,
know, and then
yeah.
Beastman's one of the grunts or one of the warriors.
Either way, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, he's pretty cool. I'm not a super fan of the head sculpt. I don't know, something about the giant teeth. But so yeah, I would really like to see eventually the regular Beastman head in the same color on this dark red Beastman figure. But otherwise, yeah, he's pretty cool and definitely makes me want to buy him. I honestly wasn't really a fan of the Lords of Power Beastman figure that we got in the original set.
Well,
So
we
did
all
me.
one last set of exclusives that we haven't touched on: the Leo Faker and Duplicat.
Yeah. Sean, take it away.
I mean, I've said this to a few friends and stuff, and for me, it's like the Leo stuff. I know that's a collector's dream, but for me, I'm like, if you got Faker coming out already, it really doesn't do much for me, and Faker is coming out soon. And then the Duplicate, it doesn't really. It's kind of an odd thing to look at. You got the new the front paws having the metallic claws on them now. So like there's an element of okay, they're trying to make it look robotic. Yet there is, in my mind, there's like a 2000X because of those claws. I mean, granted, it's a different piece than how Battle Cat looked there, but it reminded me of that. But I don't feel like they pushed the look of it being a robotic tiger quite the right way. It just feels like it's a repaint, and that's it. And with those claws, and I'm like, okay.
Well,
Like out of all the exclusives, that one's the one where I was like, okay. Whereas like, okay, cool, Horde Troopers at least, and then on the other end of the side, it's like, ooh, Spirit of Great Skull.
we needed the. But when I saw the claws on the battle on Duplicat, I automatically thought of the CGI image that we saw of Battle Cat. I'm like,
And
okay,
that as
they're
well,
going
yeah.
to be getting that ready for that series.
Yeah.
But I agree, they didn't push the robotic end. We've seen a lot of customs out there that are a lot better.
No, agreed. And I know that was a big hubbub on top of everything else too. So, that to me, it just like that face and the way that the silver is on the mouth. And I'm no, don't do this, people. Do not listen to Sean. I tell that to my kids all the time too. But basically somebody spray painted Panther blue and he was huffing paint.
Oh
That's
my
kind of the
God.
way it looks to me, and I'm like, it doesn't capture a feeling of like there's a robotic cat. It's just this mishmash kind of a piece that makes me go like, if you're telling me what you're doing, I can understand it, but I'm going in a whole different direction because my mind isn't computing this one. Versus, I mean, Leo Faker's Leo Faker. I mean, you got the colors around the eyes and stuff. You got the Skeletor armor and you got the Havoc stuff. Okay, and to be honest, I think one of the things about that one probably is the fact you get the orange Havoc staff accessory because that's yet a different accessory that you could display if you wanted to use it with Skeletor if you don't want to have it for Faker. But it's to me, how much is that set? $30 too, or was that a little more expensive?
I think it was a little bit more.
See,
I thought it
having
was the $60 one, I believe.
yeah, see, and $60 just for Orange Havoc staff to me is like it does not compute again. So I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
was 60.
I mean,
It wasn't.
I'm excited for it because now it is legit in canon. I mean, for years, we've all seen tons of duplicates or copycats for Faker ride. Now this legits it, but they could have pushed it a lot more further.
Well, so yes, we have seen several versions of Copycat over the years, and those were done by Joe Amato. He's a very talented customizer, and I prefer that design. But more to the point, I feel like what should have happened is, and maybe this can still happen, is that Mattel, they were to have a create a character contest like they did with classics, and then if Joe wanted to submit his original creation, then he could have, and then whatever figures they decide on using, whatever designs, then they can announce them as the winners and give the artists credit and go from there. I feel like that would be a good way to go about, coming up with some new character designs like this to offer to collectors. And I kind of personally wish that we got Leo Faker as maybe a $30 single offering.
Yes.
So that we didn't get stuck buying, the duplicate. And I would really hope that Faker comes with a sword. And in fact, they could have given him several accessories like you would see with the deluxe version of some figures, maybe an alternate head, a sword, of course, an extra hand, like a punching hand, so that because he's got that open hand there. Or maybe make it so that you have a set that where you can make both Leo Faker and Battle Armor Faker, something like that.
No, that would have been definitely a better way to handle it. I mean, especially the people that usually to price that one out for classics, you're talking some high dollars because of how short of a run that one was. So if they did Leo Faker plus then you add the battle armor to it, that would have probably enticed a lot more people to go. And I don't know how many people ordered this based on everything, but for how lackluster that one was compared to the other two offerings, it's like, yeah, battle armor Faker plus Leo Faker, you got two different also exclusive looks to him in that way. And like I said, that one is a hard one to come by one way or the other for either figure. So you could have your own version of that on your shelf with Origins that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it does actually say on the bottom of the image, comes with additional accessories. Final product may differ. Yeah. It's very interesting.
So it's a wait and see what are those additional accessories.
Yeah. So
But
we'll
that
see.
was the only news this week, guys. We have been patiently waiting. It seems like forever now, but we got our first look at Revelations. Not just the comic book, but screenshots and 13 seconds of the cartoon.
13 seconds of the cartoon?
Yes, because you posted it on your YouTube channel as they
the little teaser.
Yep, that was 13 seconds.
Okay.
That counts.
I mean,
when we've
I
been
don't know.
waiting this long, it counts.
Yeah.
I'll give it to her on that one.
Hearing the score.
Without Aubert through it. Which I've told people when he transforms on the show, there's no way I'm not going to hear "Oh Bear" the whole time. It's just gonna. I'm just gonna sit there with my hands going. This is an awesome song, but I just can't not hear that. Thank you, Kevin Smith. Like, if there's anything that I have a frustration with that's directed at him, it's that, because he could have just played the whole thing without saying a word over top of it and save it for the end when he finally does anything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. He has ingrained that into all of us Motu fans that we're going to be saying, "Oh, bear!"
Oh, bear. Anyway, yeah.
But
Oh.
the screenshots, the art is out of this world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
It's
impressive.
so far proving worth the wait.
When they came to PowerCon and did the announcement and they said who was going to be the animators for the series, in my head I already had pictures similar to these screenshots going, I bet it will look like this. Now, no, he didn't have the HM symbol on his chest, because at the time I thought it's still going to look, like very Filmation-esque with the cross and all that stuff. Fine. But the characters, the design, and everything. If you've watched Castlevania, you watched Size Manos, you've watched Blood of Zeus. It's like this is the next thing. It just boom. It's not like they're doing something completely different. And what I love, for me being who I am, it feels like you got some of the old Filmation, but you also have a little 2002 mixed in there,
But
2000X,
I was
and
the only one that felt that way.
no,
I
no, no. I've seen it a lot in groups this week where they're like, it feels more 2000X than Filmation to people.
Yeah, I think it has a definite 2000X vibe. I'm loving it. Yuka was pointing out the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
very happy with that.
yeah. He did the comparisons. Here's a close up of Skeletor. Here's that close up of the new screenshot, and yeah, and I that one in particular where it's Skeletor and He-Man going head to head with each other. It's like that looks like out of the first the third part of the first the beginning, when they go head to head because he's trying to rescue King Randor. I'm looking at that going like I can hear the noise of the twirling
yeah,
again in my head just looking at that image because of how often that was used.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I really like how some of these designs came out, and comparing them with 2000X, I'm thinking like this is a little better, Like I like He-Man better than, well, I like the face and some other stuff about him I like better than the 2000X and Skeletor as well. Little here and there, but yeah, some other designs not so much, but kind of like, for example, Evelyn. We've only seen one screenshot of Evelyn, and in that particular screenshot, and you see what's her name, like Andra, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Tila and Orko and Roboto.
yeah,
If you look in the
Roboto.
background, you notice that they're in the Arctic, like they're in somewhere very cold, and you see the fur on Evelyn's outfit and whatnot. I think that they're wearing different outfits than they normally would because of the environment that they're in, and I think that scene is from the third episode, by the way. So I'm definitely holding off judgment about those designs, but yeah. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
I so far I have loved it. I love how they even did the auroras with the sorceress. And for the Filmation geeks out there, no 3M tape was used for this, probably, because back in the 80s, to do that same effect, they actually used Scotch tape every time Light Hope or any of those auroras coming up. So Filmation went through a lot of Scotch tape.
Bet. Yeah.
But when I saw that right there said, oh my God, they brought in elements from both cartoons. You've got me, Kevin.
Yeah. I actually I think the one that got me the most is the Adam raising the sword, because I was crossing my fingers because yes, Filmation, for budgetary reasons, he was the same body type as He-Man when he was Adam. Okay, even as
Yeah.
a kid, I just overlooked that. It was what it was, and it was. It was the okay. He looks that way, but he doesn't have the ability to punch something into orbit when he's Adam. And I kind of justified it in my head, but I love seeing they're going there where he looks younger in his face. He looks young, and the body type is very 2000X, but with Filmation. And it's like you got me based on that one there, and yeah, everything else at this point, it's like it's just like how we are as fans. Every time we get a little something, we want a little more. And
Yeah.
for the minute I saw that, I'm like, well, where's my teaser? Where's my trailer? And last night, actually, on Fat Man Beyond, he said they actually he and the writers of the show got together and they watched the first 5 episodes that we're going to see on July 23rd. And he even said about the teaser, and they were both really like giddy about it. And then they're like, "Well, we don't know when that's going to be released." They're like, "Stop talking about it then." And it's like, like every time you give me a little something,
It was
yeah,
a picture. But that's the Jersey way. Every other word has to be an F bomb.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I honestly, I think that's where if it doesn't get you, if these didn't get you, and the teaser doesn't get you, don't bother. Like
Well,
I mean, that's the thing. Like Powerhouse to me is, I think their animation, the designs are usually really well done, but it's their choreography, it's their action, it's their even their staging and the atmospheres they bring to this stuff. And so like to just go, okay, this is what I'm about to watch, but I want to see it in action now, and only made it even harder for me to have to sit and wait, knowing the teaser is probably another month off at this point. So yeah, but we're so close. It's got to be around the corner.
I'd say the teaser will come out early June because that's about when Netflix likes to start teasing things a month ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's premiering July 23rd.
Yep.
And between now and then, I'm sure we'll see a trailer, more screenshots. I could be wrong, but I thought that Kevin at some point within the last few months said that we would see more voice actor announcements. We'll see.
Well, it could be in the second half of the first season. Remember,
yeah,
getting 10 episodes, and they're splitting them into 5 and 5.
Yes, I think the first 5 are considered the first episode or something like that.
Well, the way I see it is we're getting 2 movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
We're going to be binging it straight through. So it's going to be a motion picture, about 2 hours. So we're going to be tearing.
It'd be a little over 2.5 hours in total, I guess, because these are supposed to be longer than the typical Filmation episode, if I remember right.
Yep.
So
I mean, it will be like us watching an MCU movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, sign me up. I'm not worried about that any day of the week. So, but
I can't wait to.
We also got a first look at the toys that go with the series too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
David doesn't sound that sure.
I mean, I'm not as excited about them as Origins figures, but go ahead.
I'm trying to see what He-Man is holding in that pose that he has in his box, because it looks like he should be carrying a football or something.
Football.
Well, he has his one arm stretched out where it's in a weird position.
Yeah.
So that one had me like, okay, is something supposed to be in that section that they're just not showing us?
Yeah, it's
Because
just in
just
a weird position.
natural for a toy to be in that position.
Well, when they had classics, he had to be in that pose that they put him in all the time, and then that ended up making the ankles a little loose because they're in that pose the entire time. So like, I'm expecting when I get mine, the left arm will just be the loosest left arm I've ever had in my life, and I'll just be sitting there with like the floor polish or that the Kiki loose figure
Yeah.
fix stuff and going crazy and whatever, because it wouldn't feel like a Masters figure without having to do something to it to make it less mobile than it needs to be. But um,
Now, the thing that I'm excited for, well, there's two. The main one is Mossman. It definitely has a Four Horsemen vibe to it with the detail.
Well, and I want to point out that these figures are not being sculpted by Four Horsemen. This is done in-house.
No, that's why I said a Four Horsemen feel. Because
I'm just wanting to make that clear
I
for
know
our
a few
listeners.
places I saw online, they're like, oh, that must be sculpted by the Four Horsemen. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's all in-house, but definitely their influence on Mossman is felt. The other one that I'm looking for is Skelegod. I mean, that looked like it just came out of the DC Comics. If I remember, that was Injustice when he had the Ram's head.
Yeah. Well, now we've got a Skeleton and a Skelegod.
And the Battle Cat, when you take off his helmet, actually has a Cringer face on it.
Mm-hmm.
First time we're getting an articulated Cringer face. Because in classics, we only got the Slug. We did not have a Cringer in Vintage or 2000X.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the idea. The sculpt looks like pretty old. But
I mean, the face is still slightly off, but at least it's going in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something they haven't done before, to say, okay, let's make it so that you just pop take off the armor and suddenly he's Cringer. That's a really cool concept. And of course you could say that, you can do that already with classics or whoever, but yeah, Battle Cat's always had that ferocious sculpt, right? That expression, and this one's very different. Again, to me it looks like Cringer is an old man at this point. But yeah, very interesting changes to the armor, and yeah, it should be interesting to see what he looks like in the cartoon.
Well, those weren't the only toys that we got a first look at, guys. Remember, we're getting 2 Netflix cartoons. We got to see the kitty version of He-Man, and they put out 2 He-Man and a Skeletor.
Anytime that the name Battle Armor is associated with He-Man, if it isn't a silver or a gray armor, it really throws me off, and that one definitely put me for a loop when I found that out. That one I was a little like, oh, okay, but the way I look at it is, it was fun to finally get, this is what this is going to look like in a high res form, because we haven't seen any high res image from that show so far. So
yeah, all we got was the logo with He-Man and Battle Cat.
Yeah, and we had the silhouette of He-Man, and we had the face of Skeletor to just have like a little teaser, and now we get to see a little bit more. And um, I guess like I don't look at them and go I hate them, and I don't think they're garbage, and I don't think I'm not going to be any of those guys at all because I don't. There's a reason they're doing them the way they're doing them, and it's like Mattel wouldn't be doing this if they didn't feel there was a legitimate reason to do it and put the brand out there. Like I said, my son now, he got into this stuff, and he's all about, like, we had an epic battle just between He-Man and Skeletor in the basement the other week that scared me to death because he just kept coming at me as He-Man, and I'm like, geez, get away from me after a certain point because he got so into it, and I'm like,
I'm getting him the sword so he can go after
yeah.
you.
Yeah, and I said on the last time, I'm scared to death. That's elder abuse at this point. But like, I look at it this way: it's like this new show. I'm actually more interested in the show than I am in the figures. But if I'm watching the show and he gets into that show with me, I have no problem going to pick those up, and those can be his, and he can enjoy them however he chooses because they definitely look durable and they look like they're meant for kids. They remind me a little of like Imagine-X figures, the big ones that they have,
Yep.
the chunky ones. And my son likes that kind of stuff, and on top of that, if you tell him that's He-Man and Skeletor and he gets to scream I have the power at the top of his lungs, he's all about it right now. So it's a good time and it's a bad time at the same time because I'm scared to death for my life some days. But but yeah, they're not meant for us. That's the way I look at it. And anybody
Right.
that was coming out being negative about it online since that video was released, I'm kind of scratching my head, going like, you do know you're not for, right? It's okay not to like it. You don't have to be a jerk, though. You don't have to turn it into a personal assault because this isn't your He-Man. There's revelation for that. There's origins. I'm sure they'll have other avenues available after these have done their time and made it through the fandom. And it's like, this is for the kids who, if you want the brand to keep going, the next generation to pick it up, that's what this is about, and
Yeah.
but and I saw so much vitriol about it. It kind of hurt just going like,
Yeah.
this isn't like a gatekeeper thing. You don't have to keep it that it's always going to be what you have chapter and verse. You can make it something different that can appeal to a new generation. And you know what? It might make them go just as crazy as you did on your your bedroom floor and your living room floor or whatever when you were 4 and 5 years old after watching Filmation for an afternoon. I mean, that's just me, but
Yeah.
No,
Well,
and when I saw the toys, I'm like, this is perfect to introduce the new generation. The pictures look a lot like what you're seeing on current animation that you're seeing on TV now.
yeah.
Geared for the younger kids. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
I welcome it, actually. Bring some new things to the table. Maybe there's going to be a new mythos.
I wouldn't be surprised. And that's something I've been spitballing with people, and like this one strikes me as, I don't remember if I talked about it on here or not, but the new one for Netflix really strikes me as they're taking what Thor said in his first movie to heart, where it's, magic is science you haven't figured out yet. And there's this feeling to this of that could be the way they're using it, where, we don't see the savage barbarian side, but we're going to see maybe like a technological / mystical side this time. And that interests me on a whole, like, well, this is going to be maybe a whole new way that I can't chapter and verse go, this is what they're going to probably tell the story about then. Even like how the She-Ra show on Netflix did, there were definitely things to that where it's like, well, this isn't what I would remember from my childhood. So where are they going with this? And that's what kept me coming back, and cross fingers that the payoff is a little better than what they did with She-Ra, to be honest. But I I still this has my curiosity even more than Revelation because we know even less about this one still.
Right.
I'm coming into it with zero expectations. I know it's definitely not for us adults. It's for the kids, and those are, I'm sure, very inexpensive toys that we're seeing pictures of, and yeah, I hope the kids enjoy it. That's about as much interest as I have in that series at this point.
There's a lot of brands out there where they like the brands that I can think of where they've actually done something like what they're doing with Masters right now. Like I can think Star Wars, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, right off the top of my head, where they had
Transformers right away.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here's a line that's dedicated to this show that we're putting out, and this show is directed towards 5 to 7 year olds, or something like that. And then here's this, and this is going to be like they have the Netflix Siege War for Cybertron show that it's for us, for people that have loved it since they were kids and all this. And it's like, Masters never had that chance. Masters was always something where if it didn't keep making $1 billion, they just kind of said, well, we're done with it. And then when they relaunch it, again, it didn't meet the criteria they wanted. They drop it again, and then it becomes the collector line, and it's something the fans it kept bringing along, and we won't let it die and all this. But I gotta give them props. I don't know everything they're planning because I don't understand some of their logic and what they're doing on like origins at points, or even like the selection with the Masterverse. It's like Mossman being one of the first waves. That's impressive because that I wouldn't have ever thought Mossman would be a first wave character until that show. But then it's like with this, I'm like, I applaud the fact that they're thinking in that way where they're trying to diversify this, and it's something special for each age group, and it honors something for each age group now, instead of it always having to be the same thing, since they learned that in 2000X, that kids were like, well, why is he always in fur shorts? And they didn't understand that concept. And now it's like, well, kids can have their version. He looks a little more like Thor. And then, us, OGs, now we got the Revelation cartoon and all that. And it's kind of nice that everybody can have their version and it won't die off maybe as easily this time.
Of course, the live action movie is not coming out at least until next year because it was said by, I forget if he's a director or whatever, but it's not going to be filmed until next year.
Yeah,
that one.
That is just an ongoing curse in a movie year. I've given up on that.
Yeah. And of course, it's back to rumors like, oh yeah, the guy who played Thor, he's being considered for the role of He-Man, and on and on. Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't mind watching him in furry underwear running around Eternia. A lot of other ladies and some guys that would join me on that one. Thor, he's wearing way too much clothing, especially with the bod that he has.
I think, David, I think you and I need to leave the show so Kelly can have a moment. No,
well,
what's funny is my mom took me in 1987 to go see the live action movie like 2 or 3 times that summer because I couldn't get enough of the fact, holy crap, it's Masters of the Universe. And she didn't take me because she had a Dolph Lundgren thing at all. She's like, okay, you want to go see it? Let's just go see it. And she took me in, it's like, I'd bug her to see it again and all that. This will be the first He-Man movie that if they would do it and Chris Hemsworth's in it, there's no doubt about it. My mom's going to call me up going, when are we going? And I'm like, oh, like you and I are going to go watch He-Man again. This is like summer of 87 all over again, Mom. This is great. And then the whole time it'll be her just looking at him, and I could hear her going, he's so nice. That's because that's what she says every time she references him. So, yeah.
That's great. Well, to go back to what you said about Mossman being in the first wave of Masterverse, right? I was thinking, because I did that, I don't know if you saw that updated voice actor roster banner that I made today.
Mm-hmm.
So what I find interesting is you've got Kevin Conroy as Merman and Alan Oppenheimer as Mossman. And it makes me think, okay, so what are they going to do with the story then? If they're giving if they're giving Merman to this top talent, and there's so much talent to go around in this series, then are they going to really play up Merman? Are they really going to play up Mossman? I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what they do with these characters.
Yeah, I kind of took it with Moss Man that he like I keep going to 2000X because that one's the one that always made me like. I liked him on 2000X a lot because up until that show, I didn't really give a crap about Moss Man. And I know a buddy of mine who would have probably been like heresy, and I'd be like, he was a guy that got little dust bunnies stuck on him when I was a kid. He was a more of an annoying figure to me to keep him clean than he was to play with. But I kind of having Alan Oppenheimer being his voice makes me go, is he going to be almost like a sage warrior character that helps He-Man and get almost like instead of if they bring in Zodak, having him be that guy maybe in this time out. I don't know. I mean, like Alan Oppenheimer is also he is definitely an older performer, so I don't know if they did it as like a tribute to him to put him in the first wave since he is a generational actor that's been involved. I don't know.
I have a feeling that could be the reason putting it out. He is up there. He is the link to the Filmation for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
This way, I mean, that is the one figure that, out of all of them, has a lot of detail too.
Yeah, I like the look of him in this one, and I know there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, it's Swamp Thing, but it's like when we were younger and they basically said, okay, take Beastman, flock them, and let's run with this. It's like there was a certain amount of if you figured that out, if you looked at him and you actually, I never saw it until I was older when I'm like, oh, it's Mossman, and it's like, wait a minute, and then I'm like, and then all of a sudden the Stinkor mystery came to be about Merman and him. I'm like, oh my god, look at what they're doing here. But and it fooled me when I was a kid because all that mattered was here's this new figure that had a different story that you could tell with them, or you could add them to the figures to tell more stories or whatever. But I just enjoy that he looks like a completely he's a departure from what we've known, but he also looks a little more even like his name makes more sense now rather than just being flocked. He looks like he has that like a woodland god kind of a feel. Like they were going in that direction in 2000X, and it makes me really excited to see what they do with him in here, because if they continue some of that, or if they do something even different than that, again, he's a character now that he's on my radar more because of those things, and I like that he looks so unique because of that. And it's not the typical Buck like with He-Man and Skeletor that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see how Alan does Mossman and just all of these characters. I mean, we look at the screenshots, and I'm sure a lot of us, myself included, still have this idea in our head that they're gonna sound just like the '80s cartoon, and they won't. But yeah, it'll take some getting used to, but I'm sure that it'll turn out great. And look, we've got Hero in this series. Oh my god! And we've got Elena from the Filmation cartoon series. Oh my god!
Scareglow.
Scareglow.
Yeah, Scareglow.
And like the minute they put him and Hero on that list, my jaw hit the floor like deep cuts. Like Kevin Smith always says that, but it's true. You're getting some characters that not only like in the fan community, Hero is a respected character, and they want him done well and all that, and that's why the King Grayskull deal, it rubs people the wrong way, certain fans. And then with Scareglow, I mean, heck, the only time we've had him so far is either comic book or mini comics. We've never had him in this level, and then he's going to be harder to find because everybody's going to want one, not just us.
And Scarecrow has always been a hard figure to find.
Always,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even worse now.
At this point, everybody knows Scareglow. You do what you have to get him.
Yeah, basically. I'm down to one kidney, so yeah, we're But the Fat Man Beyond podcast, I watched that late last night after the live recording happened, and there are so many people in the fandom who love this, and they're getting annoyed and even worse than just annoyed over the fact that they legitimately believe this is supposed to be chapter and verse filmation. And I I wish I could reach out to Kevin and go, you might not want to say exactly that when you talk to the fans, because the fans really expect, they think that we're going to get like Return of Faker, but with the new show, but in honoring it, the way that, and he's been saying this for 2 years almost. And so in that way, it's like, I feel like in what David just said about, he thinks he's going to hear John Irwin talking for He-Man, or, Alan Oppenheimer, Skeletor. And it's like, there's a part of me that every time I hear that, I'm like, I just don't want people to hate this because their expectation or their, and I know David isn't that person. I know David understands, but I'm just saying, for fans that aren't involved in talking about the news like this, and they're just, isn't there a new show coming out this year? And there's how many groups where that happens every day of the week that the new fans come. And it's like, I really wish Kevin would say a little differently what this is supposed to be versus the way he's been doing it, because when you look at the stuff, it's like, it's not identical. You could say this is very much a love letter, like he says sometimes, but you don't want to let them down,
Sure.
Well,
I agree with you that I think he's going to hear that backlash, because we have a group that is very literal with our fandom.
Yeah.
They're going to say, you promised us Filmation.
Yeah.
You said this was going to be a continuance of the cartoon I had as a child.
Yeah, and even this week with...
You can see it is not 100% Filmation. It is not 100% Mike Young Productions. It's a hybrid.
It is a hybrid. And even this week, there was somebody in one of the groups saying, I need to watch the final episode of Filmation to get ready for the new show. And I'm like, you're really serious, aren't you? Like, and there's a part of me that I'm like, it never was meant to be a continuous. The only one that really was a continual, other than Secret of the Sword, when they introduced She-Ra, and you had that 5-part each day of the week, Monday through Friday, you had a continuous. It's House of Shakoti. That's the only other one they did that with.
And the 5-part miniseries, they only took the theater version and chopped it up and added a little bit more animation, so they would have 22-minute segments.
Sure. So I'm worried for people. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, if you actually watch the last episode, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as I recall, the last time you see Skeletor in the Filmation cartoon, he's being carried off by or chased by the one of the meteorbs.
I would have to go back and rewatch, because off the top of my head, I can't remember that episode.
I just remember the episode where they're in space.
With a few people.
I just remember they're in space, and He-Man is being helped by the red, what is it, like a lion or something, meteorb, and
Meteor Cat.
Meteor. There you go.
Because we actually saw that in the She-Ra series, because it was Hordak and Skeletor with He-Man and She-Ra in space. Because they had the
I haven't seen She-Ra in a long time.
Forces plus the meteorbs.
See, now I feel like an idiot because I can't think of it because I don't remember Filmation chapter and verse like other fans out there. But it wasn't the final episode of Filmation actually for He-Man. Wasn't that the one where he carries Teela off into the sunset and he?
No, no.
Okay, then there you go.
That would have been a great ending.
A lot of people think it was because when they put together the BCI collection,
yeah,
and I believe it was James Ecott working on it, they put the Price of Power, that's the one that you're thinking of, last, but it isn't. It's actually episode 110. And number one fan voted Filmation episode out of the He-Man series, but it's not the final episode. That I get into a lot of fights online about, and I have several sources, including cells from that series, that say it's episode 110. And the background of the ice backgrounds, I actually have that too.
looks like it might be the last episode. Might be, where is it? The Cold Zone. That aired November 21st, 1985, where it says the evil Cobra Khan visits the heroic warriors, offering a truce in exchange for help. He tells them that his people, the Raptons, are in need of help. Someone has extinguished the furnace which heats their underground kingdom, plunging the whole kingdom into severe coldness. Wait, aren't they cold-blooded? And anyway, Man-at-Arms tells viewers...
They are cold-blooded doesn't mean they can survive in cold. Just means their body temperature is regulated by the outside, where we're considered warm-blooded because we're able to self-monitor our temperature. That's why he said they're going to freeze and they're cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Sorry, science teacher and me.
This episode is actually called Kelly Schools Everybody. That's all there is to it, and that's fine. I have no problem with it.
To class.
I honestly, though, for years I kept thinking that ending was, He-Man and Teela walking off and her going, "It's okay, you can put me down now. Are you sure? Maybe I need to walk a few more steps and all that." And I was like, "That's such a cute ending," you know. And now I find out it's Cobra Khan. It's like, it's like there's this kind of like bad taste in my mouth. Like I don't like that. Like. Let's see them walking off into the sunset. That's like the perfect ending to a series, or whatever. But whatever.
Well, so often a TV show or cartoon series, they're not planning. They don't expect the series to end. They're hoping for another series, but then nope, that's all you get.
Well, that's why there's always that bad taste in my mouth, even with 2000X, because the final shot you see is everybody congratulating Zodak and him flying off, smiling, and then it's like, nope, that's it, no more for you, and
then
huh? It's like it's called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but we're cheering on Zodak for the final episode. Awesome, So, yeah.
Well, it would be nice to see them do something like what they did for I watched this documentary for this show, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where they after many years they brought back the original writers and producers, and they said, okay, let's spend a day and write out what the next season would look like. And they did it was a really impressive job they did, laying out the whole next season that you will never see. It'll never be produced, but if the original writers were going to continue the series, this is what they would have done. And they did a lot of like animation and stuff to show you, to illustrate what it would look like. I'd love to see something like that with Masters of the Universe.
I would too, but the only thing that makes me sad is we're at the age now where some of the people that were very heavy hitters in the creativity are no longer with us. And
Of course. Yeah.
Larry DiTilio not being here, especially, that guy had one of the best handles on the mythology, both from Filmation and in 2000X. Pretty much any episode he did, I always felt he really wanted to expand the mythology in an interesting way. Even when I was a kid, it made me go, there's a depth to this that you might not get with other writers who might just go, hey, it's a job, or whatever. But Larry, you could always get that passion. So like somebody like him not being there, I'm like, man, I don't even have the heart to want to hear it in some ways, because I talked to James Etalk a little bit about that, and I said it would have made my day if he would have been able to head one of the new incarnation somehow. Like after 2000X, if they could have hired him to redo the whole show, what would his vision of it have been? I think it would have been staggering to just sit there and go, oh my God, he got to write the Bible of everything, and he got to be the showrunner this time around, because he got it, But
well, and it's okay because we've got James Etalk to continue the series for us.
And that's true. More Kickstarters. Let's do this.
More Kickstarters.
More
Kickstarters. Right now, he is very busy. He has 9 new minutes of animation to do for the Return of Faker. His Kickstarter is mind-boggling. Almost 4 times the amount of the initial plan.
That is so.
Because they only wanted 30,000, they got what was it? 14.
They got 140 something.
I know it was just shy of exactly 4 times their starting.
It ended up being, where is it? Should show up right away, right?
It was
1,200. There it is. 1,200 backers, 114,500.
Oh, 114. Yeah, I'm sure he would have loved 140 though. Sorry, James, I can't do 30 grand for you right now. But yeah, that's still amazing, and that was something where just knowing that this is out there, and it's not even. I mean, yes, it's unofficial and all that stuff, but it just goes to show you the fandom is there. Again, it's the fans really kicked in and did something wonderful with that, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, like I've said too. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
And
Steven was saying his congratulations, and when he was saying all his thank yous, he's like, "I wish Renee was here to see it." I'm like, "Don't bring that up, please. Now you got me crying."
Yeah, but like he posted that the other day, and it didn't get me crying. It made me smile, because I could hear him, and unfortunately I didn't know him as long as you did, Kelly, but just knowing him for as long as I got to know him, I could already hear the enthusiasm he'd have, knowing that all of this stuff is going to happen, and it's all going in such a positive direction. So that was very heartwarming to know. He's probably smiling right now, going, "Oh, just you wait, guys."
Yeah, that was
pretty see everything.
That was pretty awesome seeing that from James.
Yeah,
like put a big smile on my face.
Okay, I think we can wrap up this episode, guys.
Sure.
I don't think we missed any of the big news. I mean, it was Christmas in May.
Yeah. Well, it'll be Christmas in July when the show finally airs, and people binge it probably in the morning. So.
Yeah, that's because I'm going to be setting my alarm for 12:01.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to pull that one off.
Hopefully they will release it at 12:01 Eastern time, not like what Disney Plus did with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where East Coast time meant 3 a.m.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be like that, though.
All right, that is all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for listening in. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel to let us know you want to see more content. And stay tuned for more episodes of the Council podcast every other week. Until next time, stay safe and good journey, everyone.